The main theater in the city is about to turn 100 years old. And last month it was silent films. Next month it's a symphony playing classical music. There's a food hall a block away in an old Masonic lodge with 13 vendors and a melting pot of cuisine. And on 1 mile of Valley Boulevard, I can name you 7 boba tea shops off the top of my head. There's also a hotel here that was supposed to open in 2018 and it opened in October of 2027. At least that's what's promised, 9 years later. Here's the thing about San Gabriel, it's a quieter city than most people expect. Wide streets, decent lots, and most of it doesn't feel dense at all. And then you hit Valley Boulevard and it's the best eating in the San Gabriel Valley. Today I'm showing you what it's actually like to live here and what it actually costs. So what's up everyone, I'm Calvin Chen. I'm a realtor with Real Brokerage and I cover real estate, development, and community news here in the San Gabriel Valley. And today it's San Gabriel. I went to high school in the city and I've spent most of my life here. So this one I would say I'm pretty familiar with. And if you're thinking about buying or selling in the SGV, click the link in the description. I love the opportunity to help. And stick around because later I pulled the building permit numbers for San Gabriel next to 4 neighboring cities. And that chart explains something about this market that I've been feeling for years, but never had the number to prove it. So let's start with the part that matters most. And if you're moving here, where in San Gabriel do you actually live? And there are really 3 answers, and they're all good. They're just different. And I'd send people to each one. North San Gabriel, up by the country club, the Mission District, and the Village and Valley neighborhoods down south. Every one of them has its own anchor, so let me walk you through all 3. So start north, this is the country club side. San Gabriel Country Club has been sitting up here since 1904. And the streets around it are one of the quietest in the city, which makes it also the most expensive. The streets here are wide, the lots are a decent size, and this part of the city does not feel dense at all. It's mostly single family here with a few exceptions near Las Tunas, which actually is your anchor because there's plenty to do. You have Choose Fitness, plenty of restaurants, and close proximity to San Marino and Pasadena. Even a small portion of San Gabriel will feed into San Marino schools. That shows how close you are. This is where I lived in San Gabriel and it's a great area. Now moving south is the Mission District. This is the historic core of the city and it's my favorite place of the city to walk. The Mission is the anchor. Founded in 1771, it's the 4th California mission and it's the reason the whole valley has the name it has, Mission San Gabriel Archangel. It also almost didn't survive the last few years. On July 11th, 2020, a fire tore through it before sunrise. The roof was over 230 years old, so it was basically gone. The altar, the bell tower, and the museum survived. A lot of the artwork happened to be already out of the building because they were mid-renovation. And the renovation and repairs took years. The church came back in stages, and it's open again now. Right there on South Mission Drive is the San Gabriel Mission Playhouse as well. That theater is about to hit 100 years old itself. And it's the one place in the city that consistently programs events and things to do. And a block down from there at 264 South Mission is the Blossom Market Hall. 13 vendors inside a 1949's Masonic lodge. They have a variety of cuisine from Vietnamese, Caribbean, Korean, Filipino, Mexican, all in one room, and there's a stage downstairs and an art gallery upstairs. That's the closest thing San Gabriel has to a downtown hangout area, and it's only been open since 2021. The other thing about living over here is where you sit on the map. You're right on the Alhambra line on Mission. Alhambra Golf Course is basically in your backyard, same with Almanzar Park. Walking distance or just a short drive. This part of the city is a little bit more dense than the north side. There's more condos, more multifamily, and more mixed use with the old homes in this area. And the third one is the San Gabriel Village. That's a pocket on the west side, south of Mission, but north of Valley. It's designated by this block of commercial space in the middle of a residential zone, which driving through, you'll be shocked that it's actually there. And to be honest, it's been dead for a bit now. But in this area, you're gonna find a lot of single families here, built in the 1930s and 1950s on 6,000 to 8,000 lots. That's the most common setup I see in this area. And from there, you're right on top of Valley, which is the other thing that attracts people to the city. So let's talk about Valley Boulevard. They call it the Golden Mile. That name comes from the late mayor Chi Mui, and it's stuck because there's no other strip in the San Gabriel Valley with this much regional Asian food packed into one corridor. Not Alhambra, not Rosemead, not Arcadia. This is the one. You've got Hong Kong style cafes on this street, which is a whole category of restaurants themselves. Big menus, cheap, and they stay open late. A plethora of mostly Chinese and Vietnamese cuisine, with other cuisines mixed in as well. And you could also make an argument that this is the boba tea capital of the country. Off the top of my head, on 1/2 mile stretch of valley, you have Wushiland, Chunyang, Molly Tea, Macu Tea, Auntie Jenny's, UGT, Chicha Sanchen, and more keep opening. The anchor in this area is the Tawa Gateway at 140 West Valley. 99 ranch and 12 acres. Roughly 3 million visits a year, and they're just finishing up some renovations with revamped tenants coming in and making their first move in the United States. And here's what I want you to take away with this strip of valley. When a corridor gets built for international money, you can see it in the infrastructure, right? Look at the count of hotels. Sheraton, Hilton, and a third one coming. That is not normal for a city of 38,000 people. The food is the byproduct of this, and the hotels is also what reinforces who the city is attracting to the stretch of valley. So it's no secret that we see a lot of international money entering this market, especially on the commercial side, and actually bleeds to the retail and residential side as well. So let's talk about things to do in San Gabriel. As with most cities in the San Gabriel Valley, San Gabriel is a quiet city with no exceptions. Other cities around here, there's more. Temple City shuts down Las Tunas every February for the Camellia Festival. Monrovia closes 4 blocks of Myrtle every single Friday night. San Gabriel doesn't really have that. What San Gabriel has is the Playhouse, the silent films on a Sunday afternoon, the San Gabriel Valley Symphony, mariachi, and stand-up comedy there. They've also ran a dumpling and beer festival out of there as well. And you have Blossom Market Hall. That's mostly it. Other than the restaurants and smaller parks in the city, and for a lot of people, that's completely fine. If you want a city that fills your weekend calendar for you, San Gabriel isn't really it. But if you want to be 10 minutes from Pasadena, 5 from Alhambra, and a few blocks from some of the best food in Southern California, San Gabriel does that better than anywhere else. Now, one more thing on the residential side, because this surprises people. Most of San Gabriel doesn't feel super dense. They're decent sized lots, normal residential streets, single family blocks. It only starts feeling dense when you get close to Valley or into the parts of Mission District, where you have condos and multifamily mixed in with everything else. So if you drove Valley Boulevard one time and decided this city is all apartments and traffic, you drove the wrong 1 mile. I encourage you to explore a lot more of what San Gabriel has to offer. Okay, so the schools. This is where San Gabriel confuses a lot of people more than any other city. So the main district is San Gabriel Unified, about 4,700 students and 9 schools. The high school is Gabrielino, and on great schools, it's a 10 out of 10. The history behind the schools is that before 1994, San Gabriel didn't have its own high school. Kids in the city went to San Gabriel High, which is an Alhambra Unified School. In 1992, residents put it on the ballot to build their own, and Gabrielino opened in September of 94. Which leaves us with the thing that confuses buyers today. There is a school called San Gabriel High School, but it's not San Gabriel Unified, it's Alhambra Unified. And it serves Alhambra, parts of Rosemead, and only a small slice of San Gabriel City. And it doesn't stop there as well. Depending on the address, a home in San Gabriel could feed San Gabriel Unified, Alhambra Unified, Temple City, or even San Marino. So there's a lot of different school districts in the San Gabriel city. All right, so the numbers. This is straight out of the MLS, July 2026. Median sold price across all property types in San Gabriel is $1.165 million. That's up 5.9% from a year ago. So let's break it apart. First, single families. Single family median price is $1.25 million, up 4.2% on the year. Condos and townhomes are $800,000, up 2.6% on the year. That's a $450,000 gap in terms of price. And that spread is wider than most cities in the San Gabriel Valley. And there's a pretty simple reason for it. San Gabriel has a lot of condos and a lot of multifamily. What it does not have is a lot of land left for single family properties. So inventory, 65 active listings. That's up 20.4% year over year. For context, a couple of years ago, this city was sitting around 38. So you have real choices now compared to the bottom. But the days on market is 15 days. Everywhere else in the San Gabriel Valley, inventory going up came with things sitting and prices softening. Here, inventory went up 20% and homes are still gone in 2 weeks. And my read on this is that this market has a lot of buyers with cash, family money, and international money. So when the financing dependent buyer steps away, San Gabriel has someone standing right behind them. Now here's a chart that I promised you. These are housing unit building permits from HUD, 2015 through 2025, a full 11 years. San Gabriel has 917 units, Arcadia with over 2,500, Rosemead, El Monte, Temple City in the thousands, and San Gabriel is last. And Temple City is a smaller city too. Now look at just the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025, right? San Gabriel has 172. Last year alone, San Gabriel permitted 61 units. Arcadia permitted 478. Now, San Gabriel had one big year in that stretch in 2020 with 199 units, but 153 of them were multifamily. That's the year that the Valley Boulevard projects were going in. Those are the ones that stalled, the ones that needed rescue loans, and the ones that came back as rentals. So when you hear that San Gabriel is getting overbuilt, look at the actual permits. The city is building less than every neighbor around it. What you're seeing on Valley isn't a wave, it's a handful of projects that took 8 years each. Now let's go deep into that exact project because it's the best example of how development actually works in this city. This is the northwest corner of Valley and Del Mar. If you've been around a while, that was a Norms, and recently you've seen it as that building that never moved. The approved project was a 222-room Hyatt Place, 87 condos, and about 55,000 square feet of retail and restaurant space. Part of it was financed through the EB-5 program, where foreign investors put money into a US project in exchange for a path to green card. The completion date on the original paperwork was 2018. Now, 2026. The building has been standing there fully framed for years. And it's not a Hyatt anymore. It's opening as the Jordan San Gabriel, a curio collection by the Hilton. The opening date has moved more than once. Hilton's own site listed it July 2024, then it became 2025, and right now it says October of 2027. The 87 condos, they're being leased as apartments. Now I'm not telling you this to dunk on the developer, because construction costs blew up, rates blew up, a lot of these things happen around the SGV. I'm telling you this because when someone shows you a rendering or a unit count in the city, that's mostly a plan and not a delivery date. And it's not the only project that this happened to too. 400 West Valley, 127 units, approved as condos, sold mid-construction for $125 million, and now it's opened as senior apartments. The one at 101 East Valley that is open now, 81 units, is stalled at about 86% complete and took a $32.5 million rescue loan to finish. And Pacific Square on San Gabriel Boulevard, the one replacing the nursery, the city approved 251 condos there in 2021, and it's being written up now as apartments. So for sale is harder to finance. The rental side is easier for developers to finance. I did a whole video on that and breaking down why, so I won't repeat it here. Now let's do the downsides of San Gabriel because there are real ones. First, and I think this is a big one for buyers, the housing stock is old. The median home in San Gabriel was built in 1956. Almost 18% of the homes here went up before 1940s, and less than 3% have been built since 2010. What that means is deferred maintenance. I've walked a lot of homes in the city and I run into it constantly. A lot of these sellers are grandmas or grandpas and they've been in the home 30 to 40 years. They raised a family in it and honestly they could not afford to buy their own house at today's price. So the roof is original, the panel may be original, the plumbing is galvanized, but it works. And sometimes just enough for them not to replace it. So keep that in mind when you're doing your inspections for homes here. Second are drivers. Drivers here are genuinely a problem, and I'm not joking. People pull out of driveways without looking, especially along the busier stretches. So if you're moving here, get comprehensive auto insurance and drive defensively. And third is the traffic and parking on Valley and Del Mar side. That intersection carries an enormous amount of traffic, and if you buy close to it, you're buying the noise with the convenience, especially on the main streets. Now fourth, like I said earlier, this is a quiet city with a lot of SUV cities being the same. So if you're in your 20s and you want stuff happening, San Gabriel is gonna feel slow. You wanna end up in Pasadena or Alhambra on the weekends, and that's fine, it's close to, so just know that coming in. So if you came to me and said, Calvin, I wanna buy in San Gabriel, here's what I'd actually say. It's a strong buy for the right person. Central location, amazing food, real culture, and a market that holds value better than most, and a price under San Marino and Arcadia for a comparable house. But go in with three things. One, verify the school district on the exact address, not with just the city. Number two is budget for the house's age. Assume deferred maintenance until an inspection proves otherwise. If a 1950s house has never been touched, that's not necessarily a red flag, but it's a number that you need to put on paper before you write the offer. And number three, if you want new construction, understand what's available in San Gabriel. Most of the new construction is what's opening on Valley, and it's rental. If a for sale new build does come to the market, it's gonna be rare and it's gonna be priced accordingly. So the Golden Mile keeps getting denser and keeps pulling international capital, and that doesn't say reverse. And the pocket I'd watch is the San Gabriel Village. Older, cheaper, walkable, and sitting next to the most historic part of the city. And if you can buy a house there and put money into it, I like that trade over the next 10 years, better than most anything else in the city. So the bottom line is that San Gabriel gives you a location almost nobody can beat, a food scene that nobody in this valley matches, a 10 out of 10 high school, and a market that's been remarkably steady. The trade-off is old houses, a confusing school map, a quiet calendar, and the fact that the new construction everyone talks about is for rent and not for sale. So here's my question for you. If you live in San Gabriel or you shop it, what's your Valley Boulevard restaurant and order? Drop it down in the comments below. I'm always looking for a new spot. And if you're thinking about buying or selling in San Gabriel or anywhere in the SUV, click the link in my description. My weekly SUV newsletter and my email are down there too. And if this helped, please like and subscribe. My name is Calvin Chen with Real Brokerage. I put out videos every week on real estate and what's happening across the San Gabriel Valley. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.